I'm Roniel.
I'm DaRon.
We should talk about the social media influences versus the old media versus new media, because, like I told you, it came from social media,
Yeah.
and then we got into the argument about space. And I'm not saying I want to go that deep, but I'm saying that I think this switch up between old media and new media and the things that are going on is causing a lot of brainwash to people today. Like it's just brainwashing, this world.
I think one of the interesting things is, to me, all of this started collapsing when Ronald Reagan repealed, I believe it was something like the Fair Act or something of that nature. So there used to be a law in the books that said all journalism had to be fair, in that it had to present both sides. If we were interviewing someone on anti-abortion, for example, we would also have to provide equal time to an equally qualified individual on the abortion side. Now, there were some things that were simply not part of that. You didn't have to give air to a neo-Nazi skinhead, but you did have to be fair to both sides. Ronald Reagan got rid of that, and that was mostly because the conservative media as a whole wanted to get rid of it. And at least in my opinion, that was the downfall of a lot of this stuff. That's where media started turning into entertainment. When it turned to entertainment, then, they lost all scruples, and it's gotten worse. And now you have social media, to your point. Social media now, I can post anything, and if I'm a big enough name or it's sensational enough or I hit the algorithm just right, it's going to fly all over the place. People will be talking all about it. You have, like you said, this alien garbage. Oh my goodness. People used to protest. In fact, they still do protest. Every year they protest out of some of the installations I have been on, some of the installations that I was stationed at. And it's actually really annoying because they'll sit there and, we know you have the aliens. They're underground. Let them free. And I'm like, there's no underground here, and we don't have aliens. Even the NASA Glenn Research Center, they get protests every. We know you have aliens in those crates. What are you talking about? Where are these buildings you think we're storing all of these aliens in? There are no. I do security. I've been all over the installation. There are no aliens here.
And my thing here, let's just go here. If there were aliens, you don't think we would know about it? We know more about shootings and people taking stuff out of the stores and all this other extra shit. But we would know about aliens? If something just came out of the sky, you don't think that the media would be trying to run to cover this? Now, of course, you would have some politics that want to classify, don't want to scare, but I'm sorry. Media is built on scaring and fear, keeping people in control.
Right.
So you don't think that if this shit happened, they wouldn't be the first, oh my God, look what happened, happening. They want to be the first to show that no matter if they die or not.
Right.
You don't think they're going to want to show you an alien spacecraft flying from outer space to our world?
Okay, so on top of that, and I think this is something, in fact, I know this is something you mentioned before, there are cameras everywhere. So it's not as though the government would be able to cover this up, because you would see it on camera, and you'll see people post really blurry, really bad night vision based camera, night vision based video, and you look at it and you're like, okay, that's a bug flying across your. My parents have a bunch of hunting cameras or trail cameras, whatever they're called, all over the place, and yeah, you'll see weird stuff from time to time, but you go back to the recording, you go back far enough, and there's enough cameras. It's like, oh, okay, I know what that thing was. Never has it been an alien. Why have cameras not caught this? I do know, you'll hear people bring up all the time, fighter pilots. fighter pilots see unidentified flying objects all the time, and that's true. And their radar picks it up, and so does ground radar. And a lot of times they're bugs or birds, and that's actually what they really are, or there's some other thing. But what I at least find really annoying about this whole thing is years ago there was a NASA astronaut who came public, and he was talking about how while they were in outer space they saw all these things. And I believe he was on one of the Apollo missions. While they were out in outer space, he saw all these things, and he saw alien spacecraft, and NASA went hard against him. This was while Obama was president, I believe. And astronauts take things, okay? Souvenirs. You see that in the military all the time. A lot of these astronauts are former military. I mean, they take souvenirs. And even if you weren't former military and that weren't part of the culture you grew up in, you were educated, inculcated in, I think it's natural for someone who goes to the moon, for example, or to outer space to have a souvenir. That makes sense to me. But all those things are government property. So the government went after him ridiculously hard. And they were going to sue him and all this other stuff. And it was all because he sat there and said, oh, well, I saw alien spacecraft while we were in outer space. My point being, what they did to him, I disagreed with. I sat there and was like, look, I mean, should he have done it? No, but you aren't punishing the other astronauts. Should he be running around telling people he saw aliens? I don't know, and I don't really care, because fighter pilots do it all the time, and you don't go after them for it. But now you have this guy, and he's, oh yeah, when I was in the military, I saw this. Man, you didn't see anything. You're just there for attention and as a distraction. The whole thing is a distraction.
It is. They're distracting us from bigger issues, bigger things. And that's why it's just hard to read the news, even with social distraction to what's really going on in the world. And people are not seeing how bad things are getting in this society because they're so glued to their fucking phone. Get off your phone. Like, people get up in the morning, kid you not. The first thing they do is they look at their phone. They're on TikTok. They're on everything else instead of trying to get themselves together. Most people probably don't even brush their teeth. The first thing you get up, you're supposed to do is brush your teeth. They ain't brushing their teeth. They on TikTok. People don't even look at the news. I still look from time to time. But people don't even look at the news anymore. You got the news on your phone. You can see TikTok and Instagram, and you see everything, and they have no filter there.
Right.
I mean, my kids can see somebody getting shot right now, and there's no filter there. And I'm not saying you should censor everything, because it takes away our ability to be able to, I don't know if that goes with the First Amendment or anything like that, but it takes away our ability of freedom. But the thing is that, you shouldn't be able to see these things. Like, you shouldn't be so glued to what's going on with everything else that you don't even know what's going on in your own community or society at this moment. Like, people are so, like, remember we said we've been in a recession for a long time.
Right.
We've never get out of it. So people are so, we're not in a recession. We're good. What do you mean? Now you're seeing triple down. Like, everything is starting to triple down to by the time we get to the point where we are near that depression stage, if we ever get there, hopefully we don't go back to a Great Depression, but if we go to a point where we're getting very depressed, it's too late, because nobody paid attention to that. Everybody was glued to their phone and TikTok and glued to all this nonsense shit that just makes no sense. And then a lot of the stuff is Photoshop.
Right, that's
animation. True. I can look at it and tell that's not a fucking alien. And let's go into the next thing. What does an alien look like?
Yeah.
I remember having this conversation. I said, what you see on TV is a fantasy. And, you had to get it from somewhere. I can create anything and tell you it's true.
Yeah.
This is how they look.
And they're always very Hominoid. Always.
Yeah. How do we not know that they look exactly like us?
Right.
You know, you don't know shit. You don't know anything. And that shit just really bothers me because you've never seen one. You don't know what it looks like, but you assume because this is what you see on TV that that's what it's going to be. You just assume they're animals just walking up straight or just crazy walking around like, hey.
Right.
And they just want to come and just take over. I mean, come on, man. People, use your fucking brain, common sense. Like it's just really starting to irk me with the questions and the conspiracy theories and I'm like, is there no logical thinkers here anymore?
And do they not realize that in a lot of cases, these distractions are purposeful? They are designed to take us away to what you were saying earlier, take us away from what's really important that's going on right now. The United States got downgraded. We're no longer AAA. Now we are AA plus, I believe, which is not a good rating. And the more this happens, the more countries will push toward moving away from the dollar as a reserve currency, which they were already getting pushed to do by China. China has created their own market in an attempt to get around US and our allies' regulations and financial policies. That's what's going on. They managed to get Russia coupled into that system because, of course, Russia is being sanctioned like you wouldn't believe. They got Iran, they got North Korea. And what they are trying to do is set up themselves as a power base, an economic power base, to shift everyone off the dollar. We're getting downgraded because Congress can't get its act together, because we can't pass a balanced budget. And that's either party. The Republicans spend like there's no tomorrow and cut taxes on the wealthy, and the Democrats spend like there's no tomorrow. So, yeah, we have fiscal problems. Honestly, we should have been downgraded a long time ago. But the fact that Congress can't even do its job anymore and pass legislation that needs to be passed, that's what they're trying to hide. That's what they're trying to distract everyone from, as well as Donald Trump is finally getting his comeuppance for what he did. And I don't care which side of the aisle you're on, what he did was wrong. You can. That should have never happened. He encouraged and incited violence. If he had been anyone else, he would have been jailed for it. Uh, I'm sorry if you like Trump, it's the truth. If you like Trump, you're definitely not from New York. That much I do know. But no, it is all distractions.
Yeah, it's just too much and it's bothering me because social media in general just evil, but social media has just caused so much kerfuffle, like so much issues that the stuff that people are asking me or I get asked, I'm just like, I can't believe you even thought about this. What made you think about this question? Like, who thought that this was correct? And then I will go on Instagram, you'll hear them saying these weird things and theories, and hey,
Right.
they don't want you to know this. And I'm like, where did you get that from?
Right.
And where did you see? Where's the evidence? Where's the proof?
Right. And I think on top of that, people are unable to discern fact from fiction, which is what you're talking about, but they also are having a real problem understanding sensationalism. And that's what we see with the whole artificial intelligence stuff.
Yeah.
I, ChatGPT is not artificial intelligence. It's not even close to artificial intelligence or actual machine learning. ChatGPT is Google.
That's what I said. I understand how this works. No matter what it is, they're gonna give you what's online. Even if they put things together and have it speak its own thing, it's still coming from online.
Right. They have a
It's just
massive database. That's
yes,
it.
it's just Google.
Yeah.
It's in order for it to be artificial, it has to learn.
Right.
And it's not learning on its own.
Right.
You're not, it's not, it's doing none of those things to be artificial. And that's why it's like all this, oh yeah, we're in AI stage. I said shit, Siri was AI.
Yeah. Yes.
If
Yes.
you want to be honest, that's what they were quote unquote, not saying it's really, but that's what this
Right.
is to me. It's a
Yes.
fucking Siri,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Yes.
So, but
People don't understand, but AI has to be able to extrapolate and infer, and it does neither of those two things.
it doesn't. We're not there yet. We're nowhere near there, and people keep thinking that we are just because they smack on something on top of something else and say, "Here, we have AI."
Yeah.
It's not that. What it did is make people more lazy.
Yes.
If you don't really want to write anything or you don't want to do your own job, guess what? It'll like data science. They have it now where you can add in the data you want and it'll create the charts and stuff for you.
Right.
That's making our society lazier.
Right.
It's not telling them that you need to be able to do this on your own. It's making it lazier. Like if you know what I would have did if I had this when I was in, even though it still sucked the coding and all that, I would have just been like, tell it to write it for me.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's good.
Right.
You still, to me, even if you use it, you still have to rework a lot of the stuff because it's not good.
Right.
It's just like Stack Overflow.
Right. Yes. It's right now, as far as code is concerned, first of all, most of its code doesn't even work, but it's, I would say it's little better than IntelliSense, which is just automated code completion that already occurs. And it'll come up with the syntactic sugar for incredibly rudimentary things. And that's it. But that's already been there. All of the good IDEs have done that for a long time. I can sit there and tell Writer or IntelliJ or Visual Studio, heaven forbid I'm stuck using that, to go through and create a basic class that does this, this, and this, and it will actually do it. And the class, I will then have to go through and modify the code and add in things. But that's what Visual Studio has always done with their stupid little GUI editor.
Man, you're hating on Visual Studios. I've had to work in Visual Studios for a long time. So when you say that, it really, really just makes me laugh. It was that in Eclipse and IntelliJ or IntelliSense or whatever it is. I used them, but not as much.
Yeah. I like JetBrains. I like IntelliJ idea. I think it's absolutely phenomenal and head over heels better than a lot of the other products out there. I like Writer. Writer is so much better than Visual Studio. I deplore.
It's called Writer.
Yeah, Writer. Yeah, that's from JetBrains as well. That's their C# IDE.
Okay, that's dope.
And they have C Lion, which is C and C++, and then they have PyCharm, and they have a Ruby one whose name's evading me. But yeah, I actually like them. I think they're good. I think they make good products, but I hate with a passion Visual Studio. But I don't like most Microsoft products, honestly.
Who does?
I don't know.
They're not great. But no, I just think that, you know, like I said, it already does that, and probably use it for a pseudo random thing. Like if you're trying to come up with something, the way I see ChatGPT, if it was beneficial, if you're trying to come up with ideas and you're just like, hey, just need some type of starting point,
right?
Then you could write that in there or say it in there, and it would give you a starting point. But to use it as the finish, the everyday thing, no. Even if you wanted to code, it's a starting point. But again, the code is writing for you is rudimentary. It's not really. It's not advanced. It's not. It doesn't even work.
Right.
Not good, and it's not secure.
Right.
So it's like, what can you say? You know what I'm saying? And I'm just getting tired of the whole this whole we're at this level, we're still stuck back in the times, man. We still suck.
All that has happened is the data warehouses have gotten larger and larger and larger. See, here's the big thing. Artificial intelligence, machine learning has been around at least since the 1950s, probably even before then. But it was really big and producing a lot of groundbreaking research in the 50s and 60s, and then it immensely slowed down in the 70s and ground to a halt. By the time you get to the 1980s, machine learning, artificial intelligence has done nothing. They've done nothing new since then. All of the advances have been in increased processor capability and increased memory. Nothing to do with actual artificial intelligence in any way, shape, or form. And the vast majority of those software are using languages that are not artificial intelligence languages. They're using Java and Perl and Python, which at best can sort of simulate it, but they don't come close, which is where Prolog, that's literally what it does. And I've done artificial intelligence numerous times, and every single time I was using an actual artificial intelligence language, and it vastly different results because it can actually infer things, but people don't understand it's a very limited domain space that you're operating in. It's this goes this, this goes this, this goes this, and then it says, okay, well, inferring that A goes to B goes to C, and that C goes to E F, and D goes to E, and then that F goes to D, well, here's a path. That's what artificial intelligence is effectively, when done right, is actually doing. It's inferring, and then it's also extrapolating information. This is not that. This is going to a massive data lake and pulling things out of this data lake. That's Google.
Yeah, that's just what it is. It's just writing. It's just doing your daily stuff for you. Just Google on steroids.
Yep.
And that's why I just trying to keep telling people. But all of this social media stuff and media, old media versus new media, the fight back on who's prominent, who's the best, and who's still the king of media is ridiculous. And
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter. It's just making our generation come and before stupider.
Yeah.
Like,
More gullible.
no, that's not really a good word. Yeah, like we're so gullible, and yeah, it makes me sound like I'm old man because I'm just thinking like, man, I didn't have social. We didn't have social media back then. Like, I mean, I guess if you want to call the bulletin boards and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that, like a thing, or IRC, but still, like, didn't have none of that. And I was like, I didn't give a shit about that. I was out there playing games outside, doing stuff. Like, kids don't even want to go outside now. They just want to sit on their tablets and shit and play Roblox and look at TikTok or make dances. And I'm just like, wow. And even, oh my, you know what else is just crazy? This is the boom, and I don't know when it's going to slow down, but the boom of the content creators. And
Except us.
yeah,
We're not going anywhere.
we're not going anywhere, but also like, nobody's really viewing our channel as they should. We give good content. And I guess it's because we're just not triggering the algorithm, or we're not doing what everybody else, the whole
Yeah, we don't
shit.
clickbait.
Yeah, so, but the thing is, you see these content creators, they're making, quote unquote, so they say, millions of dollars. They're buying all these cars and doing all of this stuff, giving you silly ass content, and you guys are fishing off it and paying, getting them more money.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. And it's bullshit. They're feeding you bullshit.
Yeah.
But they're making all of this so-called money. And I'm just like, they don't even know what a job is anymore. People don't even want to. That's the new thing. And I'm just like, I'm telling my kids, like, no, trust me, it won't last that long.
Yes.
Because there's no true skill in that.
Yes. Yes. And even if you are lucky enough to get a sponsor, which we aren't, and I don't care, but even if you are lucky enough to get a sponsor, if you do anything that irks them in any way, they'll drop you. If in today's cancel culture, I think it's especially silly because people are so cantankerous. They get so angry and uppity over minor things. I'm going to give a perfect example, or at least what's perfect to me. A few years ago, this woman on a a Facebook page tied to our community that my wife is a part of, sat there and she was saying that we needed to move to teal pumpkins because autistic people who can't communicate when they're doing Halloween, they need to be treated specially, and you need to be able to identify them and all of this other stuff. And I said, okay, that's great. I'm I'm okay with doing something to make people comfortable. That doesn't bother me. But can we not do a teal pumpkin? Can we do like a striped pumpkin or something like that? Because I don't see color right. I don't see teal. I don't even know what teal is. And in low light conditions, I especially will not be able to differentiate between a standard pumpkin and a teal pumpkin. I said, maybe we can put a name tag on them. Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can do that. And this lady got so mad at me and accused me of hating autistic people. And I'm like, I don't hate autistic people. I physically cannot see teal. I cannot differentiate teal from the orange pumpkins that people walk around with. Hell, I don't see orange either. So, I mean, this is an actual physical thing. No one can, there is no surgery for this. Contrary to the ads that you'll see, glasses won't make me able to see color. That's bullshit. That goes back to that gullibility thing from people on social media. I'm sure you've seen it. Oh, he's seeing color for the first time. He is not seeing color for the first time. He can't see color. All you've done was those glasses kind of shift spectrums from one spectrum that the person can't see to a spectrum that they can see. They still aren't seeing color. And then they complain about sensory overload and it looks weird. And well, yeah, it looks weird because you just literally shifted. It's like when they take UV light and they shift it into normal people vision. And everyone's like, oh, look, it's all blue. And I don't know what they do because I don't see it. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. The same thing with hearing.
Right.
You're not making somebody hear
right
any better than like I said, I'm slightly deaf, but I'm not deaf, but I can slightly hear. I can't really hear what you're saying all the time, so I can hear it somewhat, but I have to read people's lips a lot of the times. A lot of people don't know that, which also is an issue. Not what.
I just.
Yeah. No, like a lot of times, but see, you talk loud.
Yes.
So it's easy for me to hear, but a lot of people mumble. And I'm trying to, and it's weird how it works in my head. I'm trying to formulate what they said. Even if I don't see your lips, I'm thinking about what did they just say? And then eventually I get to what you said, but by the time I get to it, you've already said something else. But a lot of times I have to read their lips in order to understand what's being said. And I don't like wearing those big ass those things they hurt. They're horrible. And sometimes it could be really loud, especially if you get interference. It's horrible.
Right.
So it's a problem. But
yes. And so anyway, this woman was getting incredibly militant, and we got to the point in this conversation where she actually flat out told me that maybe I just shouldn't participate in handing candy out to kids because I can't see color. And I'm like, I gave you solutions that included non-color things. And when she said that, I sat there and I said, I have tried to come up with solutions that would accommodate people like me. And I said to her, I make up approximately 8% of the population, 6% males, 2% females. Autistic people make up significantly less than that. And I pointed out, because she kept talking about this inclusion stuff, I said to her, if you're talking about inclusion, you cannot cut out 8% of the population to accommodate 1 to 2% of the population. That's exclusion, and you excluded more people than you included. But I kept stressing, but more importantly, I gave solutions that would help people who couldn't see color. And one of the biggest frustrations I have, because this woman, I mean, she got mad and she actually blocked me after that, which makes no damn sense because I was trying to be polite. And I'm like, it's a
Right, right.
physical, it's covered by the Americans with Disabilities Act. Not that anyone ever knows or cares. I mean, you would be amazed at how many times I have had in a workplace environment people tell me that it doesn't matter that I can't see color. I need to get over it and figure out how to work around it. And I'm like, you're describing things in color. I don't see color. This description is useless to me. I'm just going to guess and hope I get it right, you know? It's like telling a
What color's
blind
my
person,
hair?
figure
What
it
color's
out.
my hair?
Yes.
What color's
Well,
my hair?
well, well, you told me it's red.
Yeah, but what would it be to you? It's just amazing to me how that actually works because the type of what you
I'll.
would actually see.
It's not red to me. I don't even know what I would describe it as, to be honest. And that's actually the case with a lot of colors. So
Okay.
when after my brother died, um, so before he went overseas, I was the only one who, uh, he was at Camp Pendleton, and I happened to be nearby, and so I saw him regularly and all this other stuff. Anyway, as a result, I'd seen his vehicle on numerous occasions, and my when he died, my parents, the Marine Corps, of course, they box everything up and then they send it home. They send it to my parents in this case. My parents were like, okay, well, we just want to make sure we get everything. So, can you describe these various things? And so I took a wag at describing my brother's car. And I said, well, it's a Ford Mustang and it's blue. My parents get the car and they're like, so this car just arrived and it's a Ford Mustang, like you said, but this one's green. I'm like, oh yeah, just accept it. I'm sure that's it. Point being, I mean, I take random guesses as to what colors are. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes, most of the time, I'm wrong. And my children have learned, and they will outright tell you, the second a color is involved, to just ignore what I said. You know? Uh, he said, look for the orange toolbox or look for the red toolbox. Don't look for an orange or red toolbox. Just find a toolbox.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like it's interesting seeing how people overcome different disabilities, different issues. And like I said, by no means for people who are really deaf, like I don't say anything like it's not to say anything from my perspective, but me being slightly deaf and
Yeah,
not
you're
being
hard
my
of
fault,
hearing.
it's really hard. But I don't find it a true disability, but it is a disability. But it's the most annoyingest thing ever to have have people repeat what they say
Right.
constantly, and then they get irritated with you because you have to keep asking to repeat themselves after you told them that you're hard of hearing.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's getting better. Over as I age, the hearing gets even worse.
Right.
But it's like I'm learning that I have to figure out different things in order to be able to hear, and it's just a complicated thing. But a lot of people don't know that. Even when I'm doing music, people are like, "How do you do?" But you hard of hearing. I'm just like, it's
Beethoven did
hey,
it.
people are just very creative. Like you're very creative. You want to do something, you'll figure it out. But either way, the biggest thing here to take away from this is let's get off of our phone. Stop being gullible. Okay, let's use our common sense, logic here.
Critical
Let's go
thinking
back to
skills.
yeah, use your critical thinking skills. Stop relying on your phone and all these other things. Use your brain
Yeah.
because we're not only are we being distracted by a world full of drama and bullshit, we're also not using our critical thinking skills that we were taught.
Yes. Hopefully.
Now it's hopefully taught, yeah, as you said, or even just just common sense in general. But it's like we're just a gullible nation, and we're very sensitive. We're very gullible, and we're missing all of the issues in front of us. And by the time the things come to fruition, it'll be too late.
Yeah.
So hopefully this made sense to anybody, and this may open up some eyes. It probably won't, but either way, mark my word, in 20 years from now, we'll be looking back at this and people will be like, oh, didn't these guys say this? Yes, we did. But until the next time, I'm Roniel.
I'm DaRon.
And if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more topics like this one. Until the next time.
Have fun.